Hey guys, welcome back to the Truly Heal channel. If you're new here, I'm Deborah Frodeman. I have a Bachelor in Health Sciences Naturopathy, and I'm a co-director to the Truly Heal Academy. So in today's video, I want to discuss with you the effects of trauma and what trauma does to our body, but also what we can do to support ourselves during times of distress. So psychological trauma can occur when we have an event which we perceive as life-threatening or poses a risk of physical or emotional injury or harm. And this can occur to ourselves but also to others around us. Now, a trauma or an event like that can cause an acute disturbance within us, but it can also cause a prolonged development of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is commonly known as PTSD. Now, any traumatic event like that can cause a variety of different responses or reactions within us. And these can be seen through different releases of irritability, anger, frustration, also flashbacks. We can have intrusive thoughts, nightmares, and others can experience a different type of reaction, which is numbing, dissociation, withdrawing, confusion, as well as depression. So as you can see, there's so many different ways someone can respond to trauma that each of us respond in different ways. Now, the inspiration for this video actually came from a recent traumatic event that occurred within my family. And I thought, what better time to create awareness of how it impacts our body and what we can actually do to support each and every one of us through it. Now, I read up on some statistics, and trauma is actually experienced by a lot of us. So I believe it was around 70% of the population experiences trauma at one point in their lives. And for about 30% of us, we experience more than one traumatic incident within our lives. So that's quite a lot of people out there with trauma. Now, what exactly does trauma do to our bodies? Now, trauma activates, so it kind of causes a dysregulation within our central nervous system. It upregulates or activates our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight and flight, and it downregulates our parasympathetic response, which is our rest and digest. So when it activates our sympathetic nervous system with a traumatic event, we start releasing different hormones or chemical messengers, which put our system in the ability to either fight the situation or flee the situation. So we need these messages to help us react in those situations. So we become really aware of what's going on, and it's quite primal, we're ready to react. Now, what happens when we perceive a threat, whether that is an incident that occurred in your home or you were out in the wild, it doesn't actually matter. So whichever event that you've perceived as a traumatic incident, it activates your fight and flight. And then when the situation dissipates, so the threat is no longer there, our sympathetic nervous system gets shut down. Now, for some of us, this doesn't actually happen. So when we've had a traumatic incident, we can sometimes stay in our sympathetic nervous system response. So our sympathetic nervous system hasn't been shut down properly. Now, this can be a prolonged acute disturbance, but it can also be the step towards developing post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, there's lots of different things we can do to support our ability to handle that traumatic incidents and to work through it without having those prolonged effects. So I wanted to actually go through with you guys and pinpoint various different supplementation, which is really important during an event like that, but also different therapies which are important to consider when we've gone through a traumatic event. So firstly, I want to point out that when we experience trauma, our digestive system is actually affected just as dangerously as our thinking and feeling processes. So our digestive system is implicated in the way that our digestive enzymes are impaired. So we have an issue breaking down and digesting foods, which kind of causes a follow-on effect because we need those nutrients to support ourselves through the traumatic event. So digestive enzymes are usually that secretion pathway is halted. We also can cause when we have a traumatic event happen, our microbiome is instantly altered. So our bacteria is imbalanced, which can cause another set of issues linking back to our behavior and emotions. But also it can impact our microvilli, so this can lead to leaky gut and intestinal permeability. So there's lots of different reactions that occur instantaneously when we have a traumatic event happen. So I just want, if you want more info, I've been trying to cut this video short. So if you want more information specifically on how trauma impacts the body, I've gone into a lot more detail on the blog post. So if you just click on the blog post below, you can have a read on the different hormonal pathways, neurotransmitters and chemicals which are implicated when we experience a traumatic event. Now, what I want to go through today is what we can do. So vitamins, minerals, amino acids, all of them are incredibly important in supporting our adrenal functions through trauma. B vitamins. So in my opinion, B vitamins are absolutely essential. So an activated vitamin B complex is the best. It's the first nutrient that we actually chew through when we get stressed. So B vitamins actually are their protective nutrients for our adrenals. They help decrease that stress-induced cortisol response. B's improve our sleep. They're cofactors for various other hormones and neurotransmitters. And they also support our methylation and detoxification. So they are a really all-round nutrient that helps support us. Next is vitamin C. So vitamin C is a potent antioxidant and it helps maintain our adrenal function, but it also helps to maintain that healthy level of cortisol as well as other steroid hormones. Macro elements, so our magnesium, calcium, sodium and potassium. So these are all important in supporting and again maintaining our adrenal function. They also help with our stress response and the formation as well as release of adrenal hormones. Amino acids, so our aromatic amino acids, these are really important precursors to the 5-hydroxytryptamine as well as our catecholamines. So when we're stressed, our catecholamine reserves are actually depleted. And our catecholamine neurotransmitters, they are the norepinephrine and dopamine. And another thing that's impacted with a lack of our amino acids is the production of serotonin and melatonin. Next is probiotics, so really a big one. Traumatic events have actually been proven to immediately alter our microbiome. So to help replenish the microflora, it's really important to take a good quality probiotic supplement to help re-establish that. As our microbiome, as we know with our gut-brain axis, it impacts and influences our behavior as well as our adrenal function and also our neurochemical pathways in the brain. So there's a few different probiotic strands which have actually been shown to cause less anxiety-like behaviors, reduce our inflammation and decrease that stress-induced digestive discomfort or complaints that we get. Digestive enzymes. So when our system is low on digestive enzymes, it can have a really hard time breaking down certain foods. So as our body's enzyme production is actually impaired in high stress and traumatic events, supplementation is often essential. Adaptogenic herbs. We can utilize different adaptogenic herbs to improve our coping mechanisms to stress. And there's lots of different herbs out there. Some of them include ashwagandha, holy basil, rhodiola, licorice, Siberian ginseng, among others. Now these have an anti-stress properties which help address the stress response within our sympathetic nervous system. Homeopathic medicine. When we have a sudden fright or a prolonged state of high anxiety and fear, we can respond quite well to homeopathic medicine. Now, in particular, there is a homeopathic called aconite or aconitum, and this is really useful to take when we have an unexpected event that occurs and it has a really high impact on us. Often it's in combination with the fear of death. Bach flower essences. So Bach flower essences such as Rescue Remedy is an excellent choice in emergency situations. So it's a really beneficial remedy to take when we need to maintain our composure during a stressful time like that. Another factor which is implicated is our sleep. So after a traumatic experience, our fear and worry and that alertness from our sympathetic nervous system can really disrupt our sleep patterns. And with a lack of sleep, we can actually make our traumatic symptoms worse. So it's really important to establish a routine, going to bed at the same time and trying to wake up around the same time to ensure we at least attempt to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. There's also lots of other therapies to consider. So we've looked at the physical component of things, but there's also that mental and spiritual side. So it's really important to find those stress management tools and to work through that emotional side of things with trauma. Now there's some common techniques, and that can be psychology appointments, counseling sessions, there's talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, but we can also incorporate other things like Tai Chi, meditation, float tanks, as well as massage sessions. So that's really something unique to what you feel is important. So as a final note, I'd like to say acknowledge your feelings surrounding trauma. It's actually a really important step that we all need to take towards healing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.